All right, this is a nylon string guitar. Most of you guys are familiar with this. It has got a 2-inch wide neck, so it's a little bit wider neck than a regular standard steel string acoustic. It is good for a really sweet sound. You know, Chet Atkins played a little bit of nylon string guitar. It's good for bossa nova kind of stuff. Oh man, what a pretty sounding nylon string guitar. Hey, that's the first thing I would say. If you're into fingerstyle, maybe you're into steel string guitar, check out a nylon string guitar. It's easy on the fingers because it's got it doesn't have steel strings. The bottom three are kind of a nylon, and then the top, these three right here are instead of a steel core that it would be on a regular steel string, it has a core of a piece of silk. So it's a metal string wrapped around a piece of silk for the bottom. So it's real good for bossa, for Latin stuff. All this beautiful stuff. And then it's also good for classical, so I do a lot of classical stuff on it too. There you go. So it's a really sweet sound. You know, I've done a lot of work, recording work on this guitar. It's probably one of my most favorite guitars. This is the guitar that I generally grab first few minutes of the day. When I wake up, first thing I do is play guitar. And I come up and I usually play this guitar right here. And I do something like, let me just mess around on this one a little bit. This is the thing I was doing this morning. So that's kind of how I get started with my days, picking up this guitar, a classical nylon string guitar. So might be it's the same tuning as a regular guitar, just has a different sound, a little bit easier on the fingers. So that is a nylon string classical guitar, a great addition to your guitar library of guitars, your tool kit of guitars. So, all right, let's see what else we got up here. Oh man, all right, let's get the next one. This is a 12-string guitar. It looks like a regular standard dreadnought size guitar, although it's a little bigger. It's a little bigger. It's got a wider neck than a regular standard guitar. It's tuned like a regular guitar, but here's the deal. It has courses, okay, so which are basically doubles of strings. So for the high E and the high B, it has two of each, so there's two E's and two B's. And then it also has, on the lower strings, the E, A, D, and G, it has the normal strings of a guitar, E, A, D, and G, but it also has the octave of both of those. So you have E and a high E above it, A and a high A, D and a high D, G and a high G. Okay, so you have four of them that are octaves, and then the last two are just doubles. Now, so what we call that in the business, we call that 6 courses. Okay, so it's a double string. So if you even had like a mandolin, think of like a mandolin that's got 8 strings, but it's in 4 courses. So it's 4 strings that are doubled. So that's what this is, but it does have the octaves of this. So you get a sound, see if I can get the mic over here. You get a sound that's very jangly, very ringing. There you go. So it's a 12-string guitar. Gets a very jangly sound. Now, it also, you got twice as many strings you're pushing down, so it's harder to play with all of that. Leo Kottke, if you want to check out some fantastic 12-string work, check out the great Leo Kottke, and he did all sorts of great fingerstyle stuff on a 12-string. So it's a very different animal. It's great. It's louder because there's just more strings. It is a little harder to play. So if you're a big strong guy or have a big strong hand, it should do fine for you. If you're not as strong in your hand, you got to kind of manhandle a 12-string. It's just a bigger animal to play. I've only done one recording session with a 12-string with the gospel Motown artist Janice Gaines. I played one session with her and used this 12-string. It's the only session I've ever played with this 12-string. So it's a great, different sound, tuned just like a guitar. So you can play all your normal chords. Very jangly sort of sound. That is the 12-string. Okay, so that's what that one sounds like. Now, I've got it tuned just like a normal guitar. Now, let's talk about another type of guitar, called a Nashville Hi-Strung guitar. Okay, so now here is my Nashville Hi-Strung guitar. Okay, so let's talk about what this is. Of the 12-string guitar, if I took out all of the normal strings, what would be left would be a B and an E, and then these strings, the E, A, D, and G, all up an octave. So it's like a 12-string. It's got all the extra notes of a 12-string, but it doesn't have all the other strings ringing. So what they use this for, so let me play a little bit with this. Let's see. There it was, there it was. All right, so that's a Nashville high-strung guitar. Standard tuning, I can use all of my normal chords. It's like a 12-string just with all of the normal strings taken off. And what they use it for in the studio, they used it for doubling guitar parts because it's just not as thick as a 12-string. So a lot of times when I'm doing things in the studio and you need to do a rhythm guitar part and you're just playing chords. So I'm just doing chords, and sometimes you don't want all the bottom end of the chord. You just kind of want the shimmery stuff at the top of the chord. So that's why they started using these in the studios here in town, in Nashville, and they would take a 12-string because they wanted the jangliness of it, and they would take the 12 strings off and you'd be left with these. And you could use it just a regular guitar, not a special nut or anything like that, just a regular guitar, and you've got to use the right kind of string. So I take, like this is a low E, which is basically a D string tuned up to an E. This A is a G string tuned up to an A. This D is a B string tuned up to a D. The high G is a very thin E string tuned up to a high G. So that's how you get those. Now, if you kind of look at the string gauges, you can do a little bit better job with all of that. And there's even some string sets that come for Nashville high-strung. If I had to change one thing on this high G, I don't like it. It's just a little thin. So I almost prefer, if I were to string this up again, I would do a normal G, and with that. But they've done some great songs with this. Pink Floyd did a song, Hey You, using a Nashville high-strung guitar. Rolling Stones, Wild Horses, that was a Nashville high-strung guitar. And the great one is Dust in the Wind by Kansas. That was on a regular acoustic and a high-strung mixed together. And speaking of that song, we will not have a live lesson next Tuesday, but next Wednesday, I would like to do another song lesson, and I think we'll do Dust in the Wind. The last one we did, you guys just ate it up, Brown Eyed Girl, and it was great. I think it's got like 8,000 views already. So this one I thought we would do Dust in the Wind, and while I've got the Nashville high-strung guitar, we might teach that one, and that'll be next Wednesday, not Tuesday, but Wednesday. There you go. So that's some of the ideas of what the Nashville high-strung is about. Standard tuning, I can use all of my normal chords. I don't need to learn special chords, and it's in the same key as a normal guitar. But it gets this real chimey sound, which can be really, really helpful in certain situations. Sounds like a music box. See, in the studio, you want to have just your little slice of the harmonic pie, and I don't want to be. There's really only so much sonic space, and if you've got a whole big song, your sonic space for your acoustic guitar is actually really small. And so I want to not give a bunch of low notes in there. I want to get just the kind of strummy stuff that they need. Then they can double that, and it sounds great. Sounds really pristine and sparkly as they pan it from side to side. That's what these are good for. That way, it's not getting in the way of the bass. It's not getting in the way of the vocals. It's got its own little chimey thing up here, and it almost turns into sort of a percussion-esque instrument because you're doing all the strummy stuff. What can I do that would be like that? Now, if you thicken that up, pan it both ways, and you got a really nice little sonic layer there that's just really small. It's not going to get in the way of anything else. That's what these high-strung guitars are good for. It's a good thing to play around with. You don't need a different type of guitar. This is just a regular guitar. You just have to string it different. Nashville high-strung guitar. All right, let's talk about another little anomaly of guitar world. Let me show you this little guy. Ooh. This is put out by a company Violette Guitars. I know I'm going to say that wrong. This is their Griffon Avante 12-string guitar. So it is a 12-string guitar just like the other ones, but it's tuned the standard relationship of tunes, but it's I guess it would be up a minor seventh. So this one is tuned D, G, C, F, A, and D. Oh my goodness, Steve, that sounds incredibly complex. No, it's the same relationship, so I can still do all my chords just like normal. Same relationship as a standard tuning guitar. It's just in, it's less, like would be like a whole step down from a normal thing. So if the normal song is in G, then I would be playing it in A, and that would sound then in G. So you have to kind of keep track of what's going on there. So let me just play a little bit with this this sort of instrument, and then I will talk a little bit about it. So it's a rather cool sounding instrument. Sounds like, as many of you are notating here, sounds like a mandolin. And a mandolin is tuned differently. So a lot of guitar players like me who don't know how to play mandolin, hey, can you get a mandolin sound? Sure, I'll grab one of these guys and just play simple chords. John is asking, Steve, do I play mandolin? No, I do not. Now, having said that, yes, I've played mandolin on recording sessions multiple times. Does that mean I know how to play mandolin? No. I literally borrowed a mandolin from a friend and downloaded some chord charts, and I knew this was going to be just a simple, kind of bluegrass. I wasn't soloing or anything. I was just doing a country tune. That sort of stuff. So yes, I have played mandolin. I've even professionally played mandolin, but no, I do not claim, not in this town do I claim to play mandolin. So there you go. This is a cool little instrument. You can plug it in as well. So let me try and plug it in, and so now I'm running acoustically, and I'm running through my electric rig. Let me just get this back here. That's kind of cool. Let me put on a bunch of reverb here. So it's a good, fun little instrument. The Joe Violette is the one who makes these guitars. And Greg is asking, how short is that scale? The truth is, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. These little guitars, he makes 20 different sizes of them. So I'm not quite sure exactly what this is the Griffin Avante 12 string. So you can probably look at it, up online. You can go to Violette Guitars. Doug, thanks for putting up the link for that. And you can take a look at this guitar. I love these little things. These are good. If I had just money to throw around, I'd probably get one. We borrowed this from Gruen Guitars, and it's a cool little instrument. They're very, very pretty looking, and you can kind of fake that mandolin sound with them. So, great. That's the Violette Avante sounding guitar. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? Let's go. We've got about as high as we can go on guitar. One of your questions there was, is it hard to press down? The answer is yes. It is quite hard to press down. It's a 12 string, but it's small relationships too. So it is very, I don't see how mandolin players do it. Those frets are so close together, and it's very hard to push down. This is even more complicated because you've got 2 extra strings than a mandolin would have. But so you got to push down. You could get used to it, of course, but it is significantly harder to push down than a normal guitar. There you go. Okay, so that's that one. Let's go low, shall we? Let's go low. This is a guitar that I borrowed from a friend. And this is a baritone guitar. Now, so what's the deal with baritone guitars? Okay, so here's the deal with baritone guitars. This one is tuned. You can tune them in various things, and usually they're longer scale length than a regular guitar. This one is not. You can get them with just regular scale length. This one is more of a regular scale length. Other ones are kind of more out here for that. This one is tuned down a fourth from a standard guitar. Still in standard relationships of tuning, but the notes are B, E, A, D, F sharp, and a high B. Sounds absolutely crazy, but it's the same relationship as standard tuning. So it's really kind of cool. I like baritone guitars. It gives a lot of richness. So let me just play for you here a little bit, and you can get a feel for how this sounds. That little reverb. Everything's better with reverb. Wow, a really, really cool sound. I've got a bunch of reverb, a bunch of delay happening there. So this is just the instrument flat. So it's really cool. And I think it would work great for all kinds of different things. You know, they use it a lot in rock and metal, but you can also use it for, I think, jazz. So I'm going to try, let's see what a jazz song sounds like on it, okay? All right, so I'm going to play a little jazz song. We'll see how it sounds like. Hey, there you go. So that's a baritone guitar. What a cool sound. I like it kind of, you can kind of, it's a little bit, it's a fourth down from a standard tuning guitar. So if I was trying to play with somebody, I'd have to always kind of keep in that in mind. But it is a standard tuning, so all of your normal chords would work. Stefan is asking examples of baritone guitar songs. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any written down there. You can. There are some. Look in. I did a little Wikipedia search before we got going on the air, and there's a ton of like rock and metal songs that use it as well. I mean, Pat Metheny did a jazz song with it. I forget what the name of the song was, but he's used it a little bit. It's a cool sounding instrument. I kind of like it. It works really good for that kind of ambient guitar stuff because it's just kind of an odd mix of notes. It doesn't have the high shimmer that it would be. Brad is asking a good question. Can you change the strings on a regular guitar to make it baritone? Okay, the short answer is yeah, but it's not going to work. Okay, here's the deal. The baritone guitar strings are thicker. They're more like a bass. So this is kind of halfway between a regular guitar and a bass guitar. Okay, so bass guitar is an octave below the low four strings on a guitar, E, A, D, and G. The bass guitar is an octave below that, low E, low A, low D, low G. And that's what makes up a bass guitar. This is about halfway in between. So It's got thicker strings. You almost probably have to get a special baritone guitar set of strings in order to put it on there. Yes, you could put it on there, but they're going to wobble around. They're bigger strings, so they're just going to wobble around, and so the action's not going to work. So you have to raise your action to make it higher off the thing, so that the strings have room to maneuver around. So the short answer is no. It's not going to sound too good. Yes, you can. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's not going to sound too good. You just want to be careful. You want to be careful when changing strings on guitars that weren't meant to have that kind of a string. You just have to be careful, really careful about not tuning, especially a string that is meant to be tuned at a certain pitch, to tune it above that, because you could end up really seriously damaging your guitar. So you got to be careful about that. So Dave is saying this one might be used in Wichita Lineman. Yes, speaking of that, one of the things that they used to use these guitars for a lot was kind of that tick-tacky bass. That kind of, you know. Now I've got a regular pick. They would use the softer pick, but that kind of tick-tacky old 60s and 70s country bass, they used a lot of these baritone guitars for that too. All right, cool. That's a baritone guitar. Now I do have one more guitar to show you, but I'm hesitant to show you because we're going to have to just do it acoustically, and it's not going to sound real good. This is a fretless bass guitar. Now I'll try and plug it in, but the pickups are not working too well on this old thing. Try and crank it up as loud as I can get it. Okay, which is you probably barely can hear this. This is a fretless guitar, so it looks like it has frets, but actually these are just painted on. It does have dots, so because it doesn't have frets, it is you have to be much more accurate to play. Sorry, I can't get the pickup to work as loud as it needs to be. Let me see if I can just crank up the volume here. See if I can just get you a little bit more. Hey, there you go. It's a cool sound. I like it. They used it a lot in the 80s. You know, Paul Simon, what was that? You Can Call Me Al. They used a fretless bass for that. Again, I apologize that I was not intending to use this, so it's kind of haphazard that we can get this going. But this is a fretless bass guitar, so you have to be really careful where you put your finger. I want to put my finger exactly over the fret. And it kind of gets that slithery sort of sound. There are fretless guitars, but they're very hard to play and they just don't sound real good. You know, frets were a great invention. And that way all of your notes, no matter where you put your fingers, are going to sound out right. If I try and do a chord, your fingers are ever so slightly off the frets, you know. So on a bass, the lower notes, it works well because it's a little bit less. Lower notes are harder to sense out of tuneness. Can I say it that way? It's probably a more eloquent way to say that. The lower the pitch is, the more, if it's out of tune, it doesn't jag the ear as much as a higher pitched note. So fretless bass players it's easier to do what they need to do than a fretless guitar. Fretless guitar almost sounds kind of mid-Eastern, and they use it for that sort of stuff. I don't have one here with me, but I've played it, and it's a difficult instrument to play. So frets were a great invention. So Jaco Pastorius played with Weather Report. He played a fretless. A lot of South African soukous music. It's got that sort of slithery sound. I like it. I think it's really cool. So we'll have to get this old thing fixed and do it some more. So those are some options. Now there are some other guitar kind of instruments that you're going to run across. I tried to get one from Gruen Guitars, a Git-Jo, which is a banjo that's got 6 strings on it, and you tune it like a guitar, so it allows guitar players to kind of fake a banjo sound, and they call those things a Git-Jo. So I like the sound of those too. So we'll have to try and get one of those on next time. So anyway, so that's that. Let me answer some of your questions. Keith is saying, does fretless bass have different strings than a fretted? The short answer is no, it does not. Same strings as it would be on a regular bass guitar for that. Robert is saying, baritone guitar sounds great by itself, but how does that sound fit in a band situation? If you're doing a baritone guitar thing and you wanted to... they use it a lot in country stuff, old-timey country stuff, not only the bass part, but you'll hear these low guitar-y kind of stuff. And so if it's used in that way, it can kind of stick out in the mix because it's kind of a specialty instrument. Otherwise, it would be kind of low and thick to use with a band setting. I would think it would be less usable in that sort of setting. I kind of like it, though.